Welcome everybody, Steve here. Working on the old Bronco again, and if you followed the last video, you know the pain and anguish that I'm going through with these panels, because you know this length over here is 9 3/4, on that side it's 10, on that side it's 9 3/4, and on this side it's 10. So it makes it really difficult to fit these panels. And this one here was the worst. You know, we got it here. It's on the money here. This is pretty straight. I don't want to change this guy. This is all nice and flat here. And one of the things I could do is I could pull it over and twist this panel. But then what it does is it starts to make a bit of a V. And then, you know, you can body work that out, but that's just not really the way I want to do it. So I've got it clamped up here, and I'll give you a little bit of a close-up. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up cutting the top here and bringing it out about 1/8 of an inch. And it was out about 1/4, but I can squeeze it a little bit, and I think we're going to be fine. You know, your favorite thing in the whole world when you're doing something like this is a straight edge. And if I put the straight edge on here, you know, we're good. But as we pull it, it's going to pull over here and it starts to V out a little bit. But I think that if we just take about 1/8 of an inch and spread it out that way, it's a lot of work, but these things have to get done. Now that's all I'm going to do today with the quarter panel, and then I'm going to take it all apart. And then what I want to do is, I want to get some primer on everything down here. The tailgate fits amazing, and that's the good starting point. You got to make sure you start somewhere and something's got to fit. I ended up having to pull that post just a little bit that way. Not much. I just welded something on there and just pulled it a little bit with a strap. And I was only out by just that much, but that little bit will make a big difference on a starting point when you finish. And I don't want to put that much filler into this thing, but everything will have to get skimmed anyway. These panels aren't, they're not perfect by any means. Got a little ridge in here, so that's just the way the manufacturing is, but really disappointed in these panels because, man, I'm doing a lot of cutting. Anyway, let's get started. I'm just going to cut this, and then I'm going to start deassembling everything, and then I'm going to start finishing up. You know, like tailgate's made a couple marks. I got to do a weld over here. Hopefully I'm still in the frame, so that means I got to rebody work this, and then I'm going to get this into some primer. That way we can keep working without, you know, any rust flashing. In my shop, it's not heated all the time, so when you go from cold to warm, the rust flashing happens a lot quicker than if everything's just nice and stable. Does everything I say make sense? Yeah. Well, we'll make it work. All right. I'm going to get the grinder up, do a little bit of a cut, see if we can get this fitting a little bit better, and then I'm going to pull everything apart and I'll weld that up on the bench. Changed my mind about cutting this just as I hit end on my camera. But what I want to do is put it on the bench. It's going to make it a little easier. I got to reach up here, and you know, if you're reaching for something, things can happen. You want to be as safe as you can. So I'm just going to pop this thing off, and then take these off, and then finish up. All right, where do I start? I need some earmuffs, some gloves. Okay, right along here, I got this brace right here. I had it tacked. So then I plug welded it from behind. So then I had to grind off and redo this little guy too. But I knew that was coming. Oh, it feels so much better to be doing some body work. Way better. That's all I had to do. I'd be pretty happy. Those panels aren't much fun. So what I'm going to do, I picked up, I think I may have mentioned before that I wasn't going to use feather fill. I changed my mind. So that is what we were going to put on here. And if I put 3 coats on, maybe we'll get lucky and we won't have to worry about, you know, putting on a bunch more primer. But that's not the end of the world. There's lots to do. It's not the end all. So while we're waiting for some filler to set up, I'm just going to take and you know, weld these up, get them all ready to go, and then it's just a matter of putting them back on. And if we have to do some more cuts, we have to, but we still have to plug weld it. So there's a lot of things that still have to get done. But if we can do everything here before we put it on the truck, it's going to save us some time, and then we can get in here and prep it all up, get it all primed so we don't have to worry about it in the future. If you just weld this up while it's on the truck, then you know you can't get in here and you know, properly protect it. So do it on the bench where it's way easier. So I'm just going to take my sander and get rid of this primer, weld it up. I'm just finishing up on the body filler on a couple little spots where I did some welding and repairs. And I think what I'm going to do is get everything prepped up, but I'm not going to prime until the end of the afternoon so I don't waste a day, and I'll just keep picking away on the panels. One coat of epoxy and 3 coats of feather fill. Feather fill looks good. There's a couple spots I can see where I've got a couple little spots I gotta put a little bit of filler in, but for the most part I'm pretty darn happy. We get a little bit of guide coat on there. So I'm just going to prep these up a little bit. If it makes it a little easier to sand before I put, the corners on, it's worth it. So I'm just stroking this with 150, and as soon as the guide coat goes away, I'm going to leave it, and then I'll fix, I got a couple pinholes, and then if you go with a nice block, it'll straighten everything out, and then you just hit it with a palm sander with 320 and we should be good to go. And then if there are any issues, like I've got a little guy there, we'll just have to do a little spot priming, but for the most part, looks pretty good. Okay, we gotta get these prepped up because I want to put them on, tack them on for good. So what I want to do, I've got everything all ground up that I welded. This is the driver's side. If I want to take this outside, I'm going to just give it a light sandblast in here, and then I'm going to coat it with some etch primer. It's going to give it a little bit better, a little better bond, and should last a little bit longer than this primer that they put on there. And I'm all scratched up and got to be primed anyway. So, and I don't feel like sanding it. So I'm just going to give it a power sand. And then we can just tack that on there. I've got that post sanded with 150, it looks good. And then I can just start here. And then I might just put that quarter on, and then tomorrow maybe I'll do this side. Don't know. Kind of winging it right now. But I'm going to head outside. I'll be back in a sec. So this is what I'm using. Just a one step, it's a etch primer. And even though I sprayed this with epoxy primer, what I found is epoxy isn't really good for preventing rust. So I give it another coat of the one step over top the epoxy. That should do her. Drilling some 1/4 inch holes so I can plug weld this. And then what I'll do also is, I got it marked out here, we're going to cut some V's. Get it ready so I can weld her on. Just to clean these little burrs up, I'm just going to use a bigger bit here. So this is the inside of the quarter panel here, and for some reason they got one of these going on here. Got a dent in there. But that, if I look there, that's 1/8 of an inch. To get this flat, you'd have to fill that in. And if you just show you what I do, just take a couple of chunks of metal. One more here. And then I take a fairly thick chunk here. And then just take your clamp. Lifts it up, and if you have to, okay, this is the top of the passenger quarter panel, and I'm going to make this cut right here so that I can bring this out just a little bit. Shouldn't be too hard. Okay, so I'm working on the passenger side here now. So I just got to weld this up, get it all prepped up. Take it outside, sandblast the inside. Same as the other side. Well, it's starting to get exciting. You know, putting panels on, and hopefully, you know, these corners are going to be done. And then we can start moving this way. Man. And it's been a lot of work just to getting to this point. But those are some of the things that you got to do. Alright, gotta find my screwdriver. Over here. Alright, before we get going too far here, better make sure my tailgate fits. Alright, that needs to go there. Where are we at? Just lock this in place here, and then I can play with it. Put all this effort into getting these corners done, and these the tailgate doesn't fit. That's no good. All right, what do we got here? That's got to come up just a hair. Okay. And I think that that's going to be pretty good there. Just got to bring the hinge up. Get it fitting a little bit better here. Gaps are looking really, really good. I got about 3/16 there. Let's see what we got here. Take the old trusty paint stick. Yeah. Looks pretty good. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Now I can, do a little bit more tacking up here. Well, this side's pretty good, the other side, and then I can start putting these quarters together. Hopefully they're gonna fit up a little bit nicer than what I had to do here. And I think they're gonna be okay. There is some work, we've talked about some of that. All right, let's continue on here. It's my next move. I have to put this little piece in here. All right, this is on. I just want to tack it into place, and then I can finish up here. It's looking really good so far. Let's see. This could come up just a little bit. About there. Now this isn't going to be permanent. I'm just going to tack everything, and then we're just going to check the fitment on everything. You don't want to weld this together until you know for sure it's good. I just chucked the quarter on here, and yeah, it's not pretty either on this side, but there are some issues. It's not bad down here, but at the front, I think the front pillar has to come up a little bit. So we can't really do anything with this quarter. What's going to happen is it's going to leave my shop here in a bit and head to the little brother's shop, and he's going to screw around with it for a little while. Give me a bit of a break. Need that mental break. That's tight there. Fits nice there. Fits pretty good here. Just right here. It needs to be cut and welded. It needs to be brought up. And you can actually see that this line here, I know you guys can't see it, but it needs to come up. It's on an angle. So that's okay. I can make that work. Just wish I didn't have to. But I'm going to tack it right here, and then that'll be a good start for us. Man, I got to fire a lot of brain cells to get this job done, but you know what? I kind of like this stuff. This is what is exciting, because you really got to put some thought into it when you get done. It's like, I put a lot of effort into that, but it's worth it. Well, I hope so. All right, get the welder fired up. So I'm working on the driver's side quarter here. And I got this little guy here. I'm gonna zip that on there. And that's just gonna cap off the end here. It's just gonna make it a little bit nicer, so that when we put our caulking in, there's somewhere for it to go instead of into the ether. And then if you remember, this piece here needs to be cut and brought out about 3/16 of an inch on the bottom here. That's quite a long ways. But we'll get her. Now I'm just going to tack this. And I know that everything needs to get caulked, but when we're talking about that much, that's a lot of caulking that has to go in there. You know what? I wouldn't do it on my own vehicle, so we're going to make sure that it's done right. And I'm only going to tack it, just in case we have to move that back in. Remember, no finalization stuff until everything fits perfectly. Alright, we'll tack this on. And then we'll see how the rest of the quarter panel fits up. Looks pretty good. As you can see there, I don't have a gap anymore, so I think I got the distance right on that. Still not going to weld it up till we have finalized everything though. Moment of truth. See how this fits. The same as what the other one did. It's like this door post has to come up here as well. Not by very much, but a little bit. Well, in the front, it doesn't fit too bad right there, but the gap gets a little bit big on the bottom. So I think what has to happen, I think that this piece has to go that way just a little bit. But I'm going to let my brother look after that. Well, we got the quarter panels all tacked up. And, you know, we're about 80%. You know, there's still some fitment issues up at the doors. And you can't expect it just to go perfectly. You know, there's always going to be a little adjustment here and there. But, no, I'm pretty happy. So now from here, it's going to go into my brother's shop. He's going to play with, you know, fitting the doors up and making sure everything's right there. And then, you know, he can kind of work on it a little bit. I got another project I have to deal with. And probably in a week, it'll be back in here and we can start finalizing, you know, all this stuff and then get on with the bodywork. My favorite part. Anyway, it's been a successful week. We got some work done and the project's moving along. So until next time, thanks for watching.